Here are 2 or 3 things that we are bringing back as a proposal to our wider group in our region. Whatever your wider group is, which usually includes your pastors, development group leaders, missional leaders, whatever that key part of your regional community is. As your representatives, this is what really came out of our time together, these 2 or 3 things that we're proposing to work on and to do together this next year.
All right, for those of you that are Lost fans, we are taking it to the others.
Yes.
We really felt that the most important first step was that this needs to be taken to the other churches in our region, and that cannot come on a piece of paper or an email, that it's really going to have to be incarnational, that we're going to have to sit down and share, kind of debrief a little bit of the national survey, but just the resources that we became aware of as a region that are available across the country. And in that conversation, just ask the various pastors to identify what are their struggle points, what are their needs, where are they needing resources, and then just comparing notes with what we discovered over the last few days, and just get that conversation going. The second, we want to then have a family gathering around a similar thing. In other words, we've had individual conversations up to that time, but at Cedar Springs, we're going to debrief our survey results as a region and talk about it corporately and have a similar conversation corporately to what we had individually. And again, from that, just corporately communicating the resources that we have discovered this weekend in our gathering. The third is, we've already been doing this, but really building on this. We have an annual event called Vineyard Fest, and we've been drawing from the resources we have in our nation. Gary's coming this year, but we want to have kind of a dual track with Gary doing Naturally Supernatural, and then we talked about the possibility of Beth, for example, doing something that's the natural part of the supernatural. So, and then fourthly, we decided that we just felt a corporate commitment that yes, we can.
Yeah.
We can.
4 things. First thing is ThoughtWorks. First of all, I'm going to Ontario, and then I'm also going to go to Winnipeg Centre, and we're going to do the Celtic Wave of Evangelism in the spring. And we're also bringing Peter Davids in, if he'll come, to do the hermeneutic of apocalyptic at Cornerstone. Okay, the next thing has to do with youth. We want to spend some money and some time bringing youth leaders together in Calgary. We really sense that it's a time in the region. There's real energy building up for gathering the youth of the region. And first of all, we need to get the leaders to interface with one another. The third thing had to do with Passport. We were really excited to hear about some of the conversation about that, and we want to take a new look at that. And this whole thing about discipling the illiterate really caught the imagination of people. So, and then the last thing is that we have decided, one of the problems that we have in the prairies is with transportation, the size of our geography and that sort of thing. So we've been having our regional conference in the spring, and then in the fall we've tried to do one in the east and one in the west, and we decided no, we're going to do it all in the east at Winnipeg Centre for their Worship and Justice Conference. We're going to get behind that.
Just one little decision. We want to change the flavor of our regional gathering a little bit. We just want to adjust the culture to be a little bit more about equipping and sort of soul care and refreshing a little bit. We need to find somebody for ThoughtWorks. That's another small thing. Somebody in our region who can take that and connect with Don and the guys across the country. We want to bring Don in. So Don has been invited, and Don is coming. Invited or not, I'm pretty sure. Put together a working regional calendar. Just because we were all doing different training events and equipping events, it's just all willy-nilly and conflicts and all that stuff. We're just not organized on that, so that's something that we're going to do. And then for thinking towards 2010, we've got Monique to talk to us about it a little bit, but we really like what you guys in BC do with Vineyard Fest. Because our training and equipping stuff has been sort of all over the map, and so we think, we've got the facility in Cambridge and some other spots where we can do something like that and do it well. And so we're going to just sort of investigate how we can adopt a similar model.
Anyway, we had 3 things in the Atlantic region. One, youth networking and resourcing. And so specifically within that, we've, first thing, these are all proposals we'll bring back to the region. One is that Trevor becomes our representative for youth networking. We, of course, sent ours away, and so that would fill that gap very nicely. And then things that he would do is start to gather local reps from each church and start to build back up what was going on with youth, take us to the next level there. Also start to connect with other regions, and that's great. And then continue to organize youth events. So we had been doing a conference, now it's changed into a retreat, but start to keep those things going too. So that's youth. And then next, promote effective children's ministry. This first part, I'm going to take the action point to identify and invite some key people into a conversation about kids ministry. And part of that will be us starting to get together our thinkers that are actually, could be people working with kids right now, could just be other people who just love to talk about this sort of philosophically to figure out what do we want to do with the kids, how do we move forward with this, how do we contextualize this for the Vineyard context, how does what we do with kids make sense with what we do with the adults, how do we start to look at that a little more. Development group representatives, sometime in this next year we'd like to actually identify here's going to be our kids person for the region. And then the other would be identifying local representatives too, as part of that. So that's kids. And then number 3, connectivity. Brian Metzger is going to become our connectivity catalyst. We keep talking about, yes, we should start to connect and share resources. Okay, here are our strengths and weaknesses, but we get excited about it here, and we're not so excited about it in a few weeks when it piles down at the bottom. And so, Brian, we don't know exactly what this looks like yet, but starting to figure out how to start having those conversations with local churches, strengths, areas that they can use some help and start to connect in different ways. So really excited about that. And Matt was saying, can you explain your get out of town part?
I love to do road trips, and anytime we've gone to a youth retreat or done anything, it has impacted our community so much. So I think we should just get out of town more and visit other people that we know and that have built relationships with, and say, like, I know Rick has building things to do, and I think, well, if I have a bunch of people that don't know anything about building, I'll take them anyway, and we'll learn in the process, you know? Just get out of town, but go visit the people that you want to connect with and learn from, and exchange ideas and stuff, and I have a car, and I'm going.